this bill passed. Next, we will hear from Javier Juarez, who is a documented Rhode Islander and a Brown alumnus.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's really nice to see everyone that I have technically grown up with. I like to see a lot of familiar faces and a lot of new faces in different positions. So let's see. So my name is Javier Juarez. I'm 29 years old, and I reside in Cranston. I'm grateful to be invited here to speak on behalf of thousands of people who feel that their state has left them behind. As a documented person who has been living here in Rhode Island for 19 years, I have come to obtain the privilege of driving through legislature. However, before 2012 and DACA was signed as an executive action by President Obama, I was fully undocumented and, more importantly, unable to drive a vehicle. I say more importantly because being able to drive around was crucial for me as a first-generation student looking to get an education at the Community College of Rhode Island. My classes were in both the Warwick and the Lincoln campuses, and although there were ripped-up routes to these institutions, adding 2 hours of a commute to a full day of class was quickly deteriorating my physical, financial, and mental health. As a 19-year-old kid, I simply just needed to get around, and being unable to lawfully get a driver's license forced me to make a difficult decision in my life. The decision to whether drop out of school or buy a car and hope to not get stopped by police. I graduated from CCRI in 2010. So yes, I drove without a license for 5 years, every day constantly checking my then humble green Honda Civic, that it passed inspection, that the insurance and registrations were up to date, and that I was paying close attention to all the traffic laws and not speeding. But even if I did all that, there was a chance that everything could just go wrong. When I was on the road, every time a police officer was behind me, I internally panicked. My hands and feet began to tremble uncontrollably as the thought of being pulled over for a minor traffic violation could potentially destroy everything my parents and I have worked so hard for. And I must be honest, I do not miss those days. However, now that I was mobile, I could deliver pizzas for money, I could give my mother a ride to the hospital and to work. I could get to class on time and focus on my studies. After CCRI, I was granted a transfer to Rhode Island College, where I continued every day, driving to class, sometimes in the snow and the cold, making sure everything in my car was in regulation so I can get an education. In 2016, I became the first person in my family to graduate from a 4-year institution. But every day as I drive around listening to music and letting other cars go by, and even my way here, I think of the what ifs. What if I was pulled over and then jeopardized my immigration status further? What if I was detained or worse, deported? I would have never been able to do the things I am most proud of today or continue to contribute to the state that I call home. But here I am to share my story. That the student who was trembling and controlling the sight of a state trooper in the rearview mirror, graduated from CCRI, Rhode Island College, and more recently, Brown University. I want you to think of all the obstacles a person of color has to endure and overcome to be able to have the trajectory to higher education. I want you to think of the obstacles that we, as a state, can remove to lessen the burden. For me, that is equality. That is progress. That is something that we can be proud of as Rhode Islanders. I come to you to say that it is time for Rhode Island to join the efforts of the 12 other states who are benefiting from this legislation, and to think of the impact this has on our aspiring youth every day that this bill is not passed. And I don't care who claims victory, as long as it's done. I'm ruthlessly pragmatic. So thank you so much.